Mohsin Sattar is joining us online. He is from Artificial Intelligence Technology Center, Islamabad. Without any delay, we are going to start his talk. Yes, Dr. Mohsin Sattar. Is he with us? The topic for talk for Dr. Mohsin Sattar is artificial intelligence-based sustain. Sir, please share your screen. The topic of talk for Dr. Mohsin Sattar is lung cancer classification with discriminant features of mutated genes using machine learning. Over to Dr. Mohsin Sattar.
Excuse me, Dr. Mohsin, please unmute yourself. We cannot hear you. We cannot hear you, please.
Due to some connectivity issues, we are moving up to the next talk. Dr. Imran Ashraf with us. Imran Ashraf is currently working as an assistant professor at the Department of Information and Communication Engineering, UNAM University. His research projects include autonomous vehicle, data science, positioning and localization using next generation networks, and he has 100+ publications. The topic on which Dr. Imran is going to talk with us is future prospects of AI in autonomous vehicles. Dr. Imran, are you connected?
Hello, yes, I am connected.
Thank you, sir. So the talk is over to you.
Okay, I shared the screen. I hope you can see it all. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. The talk is up to you.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Imran Ashraf, and today I will be talking about future prospects of artificial intelligence for autonomous vehicles. First of all, I would like to thank you, the organizing committee, for giving me the opportunity to talk to you all. During the course of my presentation, I will be going through these key points. So starting with the basic questions of why do we need autonomous vehicles, as we already have the non-autonomous vehicles which are operated by human drivers. And then I will talk about what is an autonomous vehicles, how we can define what is an autonomous vehicles and which is not, and what kind of the functions and processes are required in order to make a vehicle autonomous vehicles, and what is basically the role of artificial intelligence in this automation. So in the end, I will conclude this talk with some future research directions, some challenges that we currently face with artificial intelligence within the perspective of autonomous vehicles, and resources, especially the publicly available resources that we can use for the research. So coming to the basic question of why do we need autonomous vehicles, there are four key problems that we currently face. The most prominent, it is the road accidents. So the ratio of road accidents, it is alarmingly high at the moment, and with a 2.2% ratio of the deaths in the top and being in the list in the top 10 leading causes of death, it is expected to move to the top 5 by 2030. It is quite a high ratio as compared to many other lethal diseases. So currently it has 1.2 million deaths in road accidents, and around 50 million people, they are either injured with minor injuries, or they are permanently disabled or crippled as a result of the road accidents. So maybe only the frequency of road accident, it is not enough to justify the need of autonomous vehicles. The problem is that majority, more than 50% of these road accidents, they are either caused by judgmental error or deliberate violations by the humans. So in order to control these violations and these judgmental errors, actually we need the automation in the vehicles. Similarly, we operate in a chaotic environment where we have the long queues of the vehicles, especially during the working hours and the weekends, and we have a congestion, traffic congestions. So traffic efficiency can be maintained once we have the autonomous vehicles, where all the vehicles, they are connected with each other. They know in which direction they are moving, and they can predict their next direction, trajectory, another thing. So traffic efficiency is one of the factors that is also needed by the autonomous vehicles. Another major concern is the environmental impact. Currently, the ratio of the carbon emission from the current vehicles, it is very high. So autonomous vehicles, they are expected to environment friendly and maintain the eco balance that is required for the human health also. And of course, the comfort is also an important factor that necessitates the need of the autonomous vehicles. So what is basically an autonomous vehicle? So the main difference between the autonomous vehicles and a traditional vehicle is the driver. So in traditional vehicle, we have a human driver. On the other hand, if you talk about the autonomous vehicle, that human driver, it is replaced by something, some artificial entity, which means that autonomous vehicles, they can perform the sensing of the environment, which is needed in order to navigate in the traffic. It can operate without human involvement. So currently, we need a partial human involvement at the current level, but in the future, there will be no human involvement. Human passenger, it is not required to take control. Currently, it is required, and it may not be present in the vehicle at all, because autonomous vehicles, they are not just supposed to transport passengers. They are equally responsible for transporting the goods and other items. Similar to the traditional vehicle, it can go anywhere where it is planned to. plan to go, and it does everything that a human driver can do. So basically, as I mentioned before, the main difference in the autonomous vehicle and the traditional vehicle is that of a driver. Since that kind of the automation, it is not possible in just one jump. So there are different levels defined for autonomous vehicles by the Society of Autonomous Vehicles. That is the body that is responsible for the standardization of the frameworks, benchmarks, and other rules and regulations that are required for autonomous vehicles. So starting with no automation, the plan is moved to full automation where no human intervention is required. So each level, it has different features. And currently, we are experimenting with level 4, which is a high automation where partial human intervention is required. So for that kind of automation, what we need to replace the human driver with an artificial module or artificial engine, you may say. So for that, we need to replace the human sensory organs with different sensors and different actuators. For example, if about the decision-making capabilities of the human drivers, we can replace it with the machine learning algorithm. Similarly, for the vision, we have different sensors like the camera, LiDAR, radar, infrared sensors. These kind of the sensors, they are responsible for sensing the data from the environment, and then that data is analyzed to make a decision from the artificial engine. So the autonomous vehicle, it is equipped with different kind of sensors. These sensors, they are responsible for different kind of function, different kind of sensing capabilities. Their set of features, their set of pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages, it varies with respect to their type and also with respect to their quality, their cost. For example, GPS cost maybe from few dollars to few $1,000s. So it depends upon the level of accuracy which is required for the localization. Similarly, the other sensor that we have, LiDAR, video cameras, and radar sensor, each has its own advantages and disadvantages, and each has its own set of functions and cost. Regarding the functions, some functions, they are typically maintained by specific sensor. For example, if you talk about the camera, it is responsible for the traffic signal and traffic sign detection. So whenever we need the color information or texture information from the environment, we rely on the camera. However, there is one problem. It is limited by the light. It works in the good light conditions, and it is not possible to get the same results during the bad weather or during the night time. So in those scenarios, there are two other sensors which are equally functional, equally important. They are radar and LiDAR. Traditionally, the radar, it is used for the distance measurement. It can also be used for the object detection. However, it does not possess the capability to discriminate between different kind of objects. For example, it cannot discriminate between a human object obstacle or an animal obstacle. For that, we have the LiDAR, which is based on basically the laser pulses. So it can discriminate between different kind of objects. It can also work well in different weather conditions, and it can work equally in day and night times. So for autonomous vehicles, a different kind of function, they are maintained by different sensors. For example, if you talk about the LiDAR, which is the light detection and ranging, it is specifically used for the object detection. So the videos that you see on the right bottom, two videos, these videos are taken in the real-time environment from a LiDAR, Velodyne LiDAR. It is quite expensive, and it gives us a three-dimensional data for 360-degree field of view, which means that it is normally placed on the rooftop, and it gives you the view of the surrounding environment. Then from that environment, from the data, you can perform the object detection. You can also discriminate between the objects. The color that you see in these videos, this is not the texture information, because both the radar and the LiDAR, they cannot provide the color information. This color, it is based on the distance from the vehicle. The central in the circle that you see in the second video, basically it is the car rooftop where the LiDAR is placed. Similarly, the radar is specifically used for the distance. Camera, since it gets the color information, so it is used for the traffic sign and signal detection. Also, it can be used for the object detection, but it is only possible during the daytime. So in the third video that you see, this detection, it is based on the camera. Beside that, we have a GPS, that is location of the vehicle to know where the autonomous vehicle is currently. Similarly, we have a lot of IMU sensors, inertial measurement unit, that are used to estimate the trajectory for the vehicle, at which angle the vehicle is traveling, in which direction it is traveling. So these IMU sensors, their cost also varies. You also have the IMU sensor in your smartphone, but their cost is maybe few dollars. But if you talk about the autonomous vehicles, the cost of IMU sensor, it is in thousands of dollars. So each of these functions, they are carried out by different sensors. So regarding the tasks that we perform in the autonomous vehicles, there are basically three categories. The first one is the perception. Perception means the environment analysis. If we want to navigate an autonomous vehicle, we need to understand the environment in which we need to navigate. So we need to understand what kind of objects we have, whether it is a human, it is an animal, it is a pedestrian, what kind of the vehicles there are, whether they are stationary, whether they are moving. So any other information that is required for moving, for navigating in that environment, it is basically part of the perception. So if you see the right top figure, so we have the RGB image that is taken from the color camera, then we have LiDAR points and radar points, and then we have the map information. These kind of information, basically they are fused together in order to get a highly accurate environment perception. The second task that we perform, it is the planning. So if the autonomous vehicle needs to move from one point to another point, it needs to have an optimal path. So path planning and trajectory planning. We also need to decide how it is going to move from one point to another point. And we need to do that continuously, because when working in a real-time environment, the environment around us, it is not static. So other cars, both autonomous and non-autonomous, they are operating in the same environment as well. For example, if you see this video, the red square that you can see, it is autonomous vehicles, and the gray lines that you see, these are made from the LiDAR data. So using the LiDAR data and data from other sensors, we can make the planning, trajectory planning, and path planning in the runtime. That is the second important task for autonomous vehicles. Similarly, we need to track the autonomous vehicles continuously. It means that we need to make the motion estimation, as you can see in the video in the right bottom. So once we are moving, we have a starting point, we have an ending point. So in order to achieve that goal, we need to continuously track whether our autonomous vehicle, it is going as planned or not. If there are deviations, then we need to get the data, and we need to make other optimal possibilities, and then we adopt them in order to get the desired target. So these are three basic tasks that are performed in autonomous vehicles. And for these tasks, there are different sensors that are available, and these tasks are obtained basically by three different types of the sensors, you can say. So here comes the role of artificial intelligence approaches. So we can say that the autonomous vehicle, it is an autonomous agent that is working in a dynamic environment, and it needs to make intelligent decisions. And for decision making, what it needs the data, then it needs the intelligent decisions, and then it needs to execute those decisions. So regarding the information from the environment, we use the sensor system. For example, as previously discussed, we have IMU sensors, the laser sensors, night vision camera, and similar other sensors that are responsible for obtaining the sensor data from the environment. Then we have the actuator systems. So basically, actuator systems are those systems, both software and hardware, that are utilized in order to execute certain actions. For example, if we need to move from one place to another, we need to apply the speed and the brakes and the steering and all these kind of things. So we need the hardware setup. So here, the responsibility, it goes to the actuator system that we have in autonomous vehicles. However, in order to operate those actuator systems, we need an operating system, the brain, basically. the actuator systems do not know how much they need to move, at which angle they need to move, and to which direction they need to move. So for that, we need the brain. So brain basically it is based on the artificial intelligence. I mentioned that the difference between the autonomous vehicles and the traditional vehicle, it is only that of a driver. So if we do not have a driver in autonomous vehicles, we need artificial intelligent engine that can perform all those tasks. So basically, without the artificial intelligence, which is the brain of the autonomous vehicle, there is no concept of autonomy in the vehicles. So that is the importance of artificial intelligence. So these are only few of the tasks that we can perform using the artificial intelligence. So each of these tasks, they have requirements and different kind of the machine learning. Each has different subtasks associated with that reduction. So this task is easy. However, it is very important. If it is not appropriate, then the accident it is certain. So for that, we traditionally use the color camera or the vision camera for getting the color information, since it is easy to discriminate between the the light intensity from the green to red to yellow. However, other sensors can also be used for the same task. When autonomous vehicle needs to move, it needs the drivable area, the road, it needs to discriminate between the road condition, the road from the non-road surface, and it also needs the information regarding the other objects. So for that, we can use the road and car detection modules that works on basically the radar and also sometime with the camera, especially during the daylight conditions. The use of AI approaches is also in behavior prediction and decision making. This is a complex environment simulation on the top right side, where you can see that a lot of vehicles, they are moving. So the autonomous vehicle, it is represented by the green rectangle. So it needs to analyze the pedestrians and the movement of the other vehicles. If it cannot predict it properly, then the accident can happen. So these things, such kind of a task, they can also be handled by the LiDAR, radar, and the sensor. The main thing is that for that, we also need the artificial intelligence. I mentioned before that GPS, it is the main sensor which is responsible for the tracking of autonomous vehicles, but it is also possible with other sensors like color camera. For example, we can see that we can perform the tracking using the optical flow also. So similarly, the object detection, it can be used by the LiDAR. This video, it is from the LiDAR. So you can see the LiDAR data, and this is a raw video. We can use it to detect the people, and we need to also classify the objects into different categories. Even with the autonomous vehicles, the accidents can happen, so we need to be prepared for that. So for that, the role of AI, it is very important for the crash prediction. This is one of the real-time video that was taken by Tesla autonomous vehicles. So you see that the crash prediction was made before the accident actually happened. So these kind of tasks, they also involve the use of artificial intelligence. Currently, the autonomous vehicles, they have operated at level 4. Full automation is not possible. The test drives that are carried out, they are carried out with the presence of one or multiple passengers that can take the control in case of urgency. For example, if you see the videos from the Waymo, Tesla, and Uber, so these are the real-time testing that is done traditionally in the San Francisco. They have designated road where you can perform the testing. So testing is carried out in the presence of the mixed traffic, where the autonomous vehicles and non-autonomous vehicles, they operate at the same time. So these are the challenges that we currently face for the autonomous vehicles. One problem is the validation. The data that is used to validate the autonomous vehicles, it is mostly based on the simulation. We lack the real-time data. We also lack the data from the real field test, because these sensors, they are expensive, and the data, it is not made public by these companies to take competitive advantages. So validation is also a problem because the models that we have, they are not properly validated. Robustness is also a problem. We have a large volume of the data from different kind of the sensors. These kind of a data, they have a noise. Sometimes the data is partial because all time that data is not coming from all the sensors. So this is where the role of the transfer learning, it becomes important. So we need to devise the semi-supervised and unsupervised algorithms that can automatically adapt and that can produce the robust results even with the noise data. Similarly, reliability is one of the big issues currently. The decisions made by the AI engines, they are uncertain and they are not reliable when it comes to the real-time complex scenarios. Sometimes the rare events happen that are not foreseen, that are not properly modeled. So in that case, the outputs from the AI models, they are not reliable. Liability, human drivers, they are liable to punishments and then the penalties if they commit a violation, but that is not possible in case of the AI. So liability is a problem. So that factor is also related to reliability. Similarly, we need to focus on the explainable AI. Once we know that this particular decision is made by AI engine on these particular grounds. So if we can explain the logic behind the decision made by an AI engine, then that reliability factor, it can be reduced. And we have a problem with the hardware and software monitoring. Since autonomous vehicles, they totally relies on the sensing capabilities from different sensors and the capabilities of the actuators to execute certain actions. If there is a problem in the sensing capabilities of the sensors or the actuators are not performing well, you cannot expect a proper or reliable output from the autonomous vehicle. So for that, there is no human that can supervise or that can see what is happening with those sensors. So what we need the database AI engines that continuously analyze the data from the sensor and actuator. And if there is a problem, they can resolve the problem or they can point out and stop the autonomous vehicle. Computational complexity is another problem with the autonomous vehicle. So especially if you talk about the deep learning model, they are quite complex. They have a large number of parameters that need to be tuned. So they need computational capabilities. So we have installed units in the autonomous vehicle. However, with the increased size of the data, we need higher processing capabilities. We need the GPUs and FPGAs. So the current models, they are complex. So we need simple models without compromising on the efficiency and accuracy of the output. And one of the main concerns is that the real world is very, very complex and it is not possible to model it as it is. So modeling complexity of real world, it is a problem. We cannot incorporate all the parameters that we have in the real world. For example, we have weather conditions, we have different light conditions. We have hundreds of other actors that are acting at the same time in the traffic environment. So in order to do that, we need the data from multiple sensors. And we need the fusion frameworks. So currently the fusion frameworks that we have, they are very complex and they require high computational capacity. And many of the fusion frameworks that are provided, they are not open source. So they are provided by different companies, they are commercial. So that is also a big challenge. So in order to resolve these challenges, what we need more resources in the sense of the data. Since we cannot afford to have the autonomous vehicles, it is not possible to get autonomous vehicle for every institution. So different kind of the data sets, they are made public by different companies. These data sets, they comprise the data from different sensors. Some data sets, they contain multi-sensor data where the sensors, they are calibrated and combined. A few other, they provide the separate data for the LiDAR, camera, GPS, IMU sensor, and similar other sensors. For example, I have provided few links that are from the Huawei Corporation, Ford, and then Toyota. Similarly, the Volkswagen, Audi, and other companies, they also provide a small amount of the data that can be used for their research purposes. So if you are interested, you can utilize these data in order to design AI models that can make the predictions and similar other tasks related to autonomous vehicles. Another important research direction is the accident analysis and prediction. So accident analysis basically does not provide the data from the sensors. So as I mentioned before, currently most of the test trials that are carried out, they are in California or San Francisco. And it is the requirement of the California Department of Motor Vehicles to provide the reports for any accident for autonomous vehicle or any disengagement. So disengagement, basically it happens and there is a ambiguity in the operating system. So autonomous vehicle, it returns the control to the human driver. So that is called a disengagement. It also provides the some kind of the report why that kind of disengagement happened. So these two reports, they are available on the following links from the California DMV that can also be utilized in order to perform the accident analysis and prediction tasks. So to conclude, I can say that autonomous vehicles, they can potentially reduce both the frequency and intensity of the accidents. They can be actually very environment friendly when it comes to carbon emissions and eco-friendly environment. And they can maintain the traffic efficiency even in chaotic and busy environment. However, their use, it is limited by several factors. AI approaches, basically they rely on the sensor data. So if the quality of the sensor data, it is not good, it is not up to the standard, then we cannot rely on the output generated by these AI models. AI models are complex and they are uncertain, which requires further research and development efforts in order to make them reliable. Model tuning issues is one of the challenges. We need the high computational processing powers in order to tune those models, as they have millions of parameters. And the hardware, we cannot totally rely on the hardware. Still, they have the operational problems. So we need to resolve them. We need to make them more efficient and fault tolerant. And so currently, the AI approaches, they are based on the data sets, simulation based, and the field test based. I'm talking about with respect to the autonomous vehicles. So we need to make more towards the field test based application of autonomous vehicles, because that is the thing that is going to get us soon to the full automation part of the autonomous vehicles. So that is all from my side, the limitations and then the potentials of autonomous vehicles. It is discussed with respect to the technology. There are other ethical and social concerns as well. I did not discuss those. So, and then a brief introduction. Currently, I'm working at Yangnam University. My area is localization and data analytics. And we are working on several projects which are related to autonomous car sensor safety, basically. So if you have any further questions, you can contact me on the given email, and I will reply to you as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Do we have any
Sure.
questions? Mic, please. We need a mic in audience. Sir, what do you predict about the future of autonomous vehicles in Pakistan?
Once the product is in the market, then definitely it will also come to Pakistan. The problem is that we need to worry about our role in the automation. So I think we have bigger concerns at the moment in Pakistan. But few people, as I know, they are working autonomous vehicles. I think I collaborated with them. One group is working in NUST Islamabad, but that is not of a large scale. So I hope to see more work in the other universities as well, maybe in Islamic University also.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Now we'll try to reconnect to Dr. Mohsin Sattar once again. Dr. Mohsin Sitar, we can hear you.
ठीक अस्सलाम वालेकुम अस्सलाम वालेकुम
Walaikum
Walaikum
assalam.
salam, sir.
can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you now.
Can I start the presentation?
Sure, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
My
You can start the
presentation is
presentation.
visible. My presentation is visible or not?
Yes, sir, it is visible. You can start
Okay,
now.
thank you. Okay, thank you. First, okay, my name is Dr. Mohsen, and I am from Artificial Intelligence Technology Center, NCP, Islamabad. My presentation would span over introduction to lung cancer, then bio-inspired techniques for prediction of lung cancer, AI tech inception, its background, vision, objectives, and different AI tech projects that we conduct and that we are conducting our focus in a different dimension. I will discuss those. Focused on AI applications and finally conclusion. Lung cancer is a heterogeneous disease. It is one of the top most ranked cancer-related disease in the world and as well as in Pakistan. So its prediction in early stages is crucial for its treatment so that patients are not harmed. According to global cancer survey, nearly 14 million deaths all over the world are occurred due to cancer, and out of these, 8.2 millions are died. And of all these cancer-related deaths, lung cancer is for most cancer type in incidence and mortality rate. Factors that may affect are epigenetic and environmental factors, metabolic, tumor suppressor genes, and many other factors that may cause. There are several methods that can cause lung cancer. There are several tests that can be used to detect lung cancer. One is X-ray images that can be used for detection of lung cancer. If small lesions are not revealed, then CT scan can be used, and saliva sample and examination in laboratory can be used for detection of lung cancer. But all these methods are prone to increase the lung cancer death rate because these methods detect cancer at later stages. So, so what would be essential for patients so that the cancer can be detected in early stages? There is a new domain called proteomics and genomic domain. And if we detect cancer by analyzing DNA and RNA sequences, we can easily detect cancer in early stages. Normally, there is a normal procedure DNA without any harmful mutation. DNA is translated to proteins, and if there are harmful mutations, these harmful mutations reflect inside the body, and ultimately faulty proteins occur inside the body because we know that proteins are workhorse molecules for working different functions inside the body. Therefore, if those functions are affected, then harmful due to harmful mutations, lung cancer, or any other type of cancer can be formed. Says importance of proteins, like they are used in different processes inside the body, like immune responses and cell signaling, message passing. They act as enzymes or catalysts to increase different reactions inside the body. There are a lot of those functions that are performed by different types of proteins. There are 20 known amino acids, and these amino acids form different types of proteins. What is gene? Different set of genes are present inside body to form different type of functions. A process by which instructions in the DNA are converted into functional products. So these genes, different set of genes, and each set of genes or number of genes perform specific type of function inside the body. So if mutations or harmful mutations occur in the body, then these are ultimately reflected in proteins these mutations, the effect of these mutations are reflected in proteins, and so cancer can be detected at protein level in initial stages. Proteins act as these genes act as on-off switch. Like we know that how much specific type of protein is needed inside the body, and when to form this type of protein, and when to break some type of abnormal reaction, autoimmune reaction inside the body. All these functions are performed by proteins. Here is an example how the different flowers get their color from and different genes. There is a specific genes in each flower that is responsible for giving color to flowers. Thoughts are also important, and they can also cause cancer. There is a link that is given below. For more detail can be found out by following the link over there. Because whatever we think, whatever our thoughts are, we normally generate different type of chemicals or transmitters inside the body that ultimately affect the formation of dangerous, harmful mutations inside the body. Therefore, cancer is formed inside the body. So far, we have proposed a technique called multi-gene genetic programming based technique. This technique is a parallel processing based technique in which different natural process of evolution is like a mutation and like GP trees are formed, and how it is we have built the system. Input protein sequences are used in it. A number of specific input protein. These samples are real samples that are used to train the model. Uh, and the CD hit software is a software that removes redundancy inside the model, because we know that redundant sequences shouldn't be involved in model building because they don't participate much for final generalized model. And we found different feature spaces like amino acid compositions, plate amino acid composition, dipeptide composition, series composition, and there are also other types of composition that are used for model building. We have developed a MGGP model. The detail of model will be discussed next. And finally, different performance measures are calculated after the model has been trained. Here is a dimension of different feature spaces that we have used, like autocorrelation features has 720 dimension, and total dimension of our feature set was 1521. When we plotted the distributions of that data using evolutionary tree, the data set of cancer versus non-cancer sequences, we find out that it was highly non-linear problem. And because there is a highly overlapped region present inside this graph, that red is a cancer, and normal sequences are shown in other color. This we tried different models on it, like SVM, some deep learning approaches, but all the model has not very good accuracy, and that's why we proposed a new technique called multi-gene genetic programming based lung cancer prediction technique. How the technique works in it, multiple parallel trees are built in it. Like we know that GP genetic programming is based on single tree, but in it MGGP there are multiple parallel trees that are used for the formation of the model. In it we can MGGP based on natural evolution process, and we can define specific number of trees that are evolved, and trees are evolved in parallel session, and after individual trees has been evolved, these trees are combined optimally, and they give weight, model gives weight to these numerical calculations and empirical equations to form the final MGGB model. Like for example, if we say that we have defined 20 genes and D is a data set, X is feature vector, and T is target level. And we evolved the MDGP model in such a way that it gives an empirical relation, automatical formation of empirical relation by a optimal combination of individual trees that are shown previously. And final MGG model is shown here. Like C1, G1 is first tree, similarly second, so on to. There are m number of trees. In the previous example, we have shown that m is equal to 20. After the model training of the model was completed, we found out that there are 23 most discriminant features out of 1521 that are essential, that are useful for model prediction. This phenomena is also useful for drug discovery, because we know that we have to focus on specific set of genes, like we don't have to take so much this number of features 15 20. We only have to focus limited number of gene set. So if this question arises, what is the advantage of this technique? It's just a simulation, or it is being used somewhere else, or can be used? And the answer to this question can be there are limited set of features, and it can reduce the experimental cost. For example, if earlier we were focusing on 1500 genes or 1500 feature sets, but now we will be focusing on only limited set of feature set like 20, 30, and so on. To this phenomena is also used in drug discovery, protein to protein binding, and there are also many other phenomena in which this method is used. After this shows the comparison of our proposed model in different feature spaces, like these are the feature spaces. These are feature spaces that we can find a lot of literature. I wouldn't go in detail of what are those, how these are found, but if you just follow my published paper on this technique, you can find a lot of literature on this technique. But here, these are just feature spaces, and these are different quantitative measures that are shown here, like sensitivity, specificity, accuracy. Different measures show how the model performed in overall different spaces. This model shows that our hybrid space has highest performance in terms of different feature space. This was the proposed technique that I have discussed. This technique is not limited just to cancer prediction problem. There are also many other problems, NP hard problems, in which this technique can be used. MGGP model can also be applied in some other spheres. No, I come to AI Tech. AI Tech, the vision of AI Tech is objectives, why this was formed at high level. I will discuss the core purpose of it was to establish a center that would provide different facilities to commissions in different domains. But it acts as tri-helix model. Like we are trying to industry collaborations, the university collaborations, so that there should be a link between industry and university, that is missing here in Pakistan. So we are trying for that. I will discuss what features we have, in AI Tech. Objectives of it was a central technology powerhouse for commissions, defense-oriented organizations, participate in key project commissions as technology partner through cross-functional teams, full dedicated research in core areas of AI, a close watch on international AI activities with special emphasis on AI application, and it will also act as a window for academia and international collaboration. This was the a little bit introduction, but what are the most interesting part of it? It is that we are intending high profile machines A100, that is GPU based server, and there would be more machines like that. In it at AITech we had 8 AI core labs, and there is also a software development and prototype lab. Induction of fresh officials is under process. 30 GPU desktop servers are being inducted for each officer, and there will be a lot of things undergoing on. Like we have QMS department that is focusing on the quality management aspects of. These are the core labs, like we have computer vision lab, machine learning and deep learning lab, predictive analytics lab, and inference lab, quantum futuristic. We are also focusing on a lab that is called quantum computing and cognitive lab. It would be highly futuristic lab, and it can be, it's right now we are focusing on after 5 years or 10 years, there would be, if there would be some breakthrough in quantum computing, that would be effective. Data science, autonomous AI, natural language processing, and we have total 8 labs, and 9th lab is our prototyping and development lab, testing lab. This is the GPU server that I have mentioned. It is A100. NVIDIA claims that it would deliver 5,000 teraflops of computing power, and it has a PCI Gen 4 connections, and NVIDIA, there are 48 NVLinks switches that are part of the server. It will be highly value-added addition to our center. And we are focusing to purchase these types of servers in future. GPU server, there would be a GPU server, GPU-based desktop system for every officer that would be inducted in our organization. There is currently we are focusing on 3080 GPU systems. So what are the focused area, application areas that we are focusing on? Guided navigation and control, intelligence surveillance and reconnaissance, automatic target recognition, condition monitoring, fault diagnosis, isolation, decision support system, combat simulation and trainings, and UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles. 28 projects are under process. In commission, we are focusing to, because projects would be of different diversity and different natures, we might outsource these projects to different organizations or different universities, university students in these areas. What Pakistan is lacking in AI, but we must develop 5th generation. We should focus on AI to tackle challenges, problems in defense, biodefense, agriculture, medical, education system, and different AI surveillance system can be devised with mutual interaction, with collaborations to cope the problem of our country. So this is a case study of Nokia. Nokia giant once was a giant in telecom industry, but the race finished it. And when Nokia was, because it didn't adopt the change what the industry was seeing, what the user was seeing. But Steve Jobs launched iPhone and started touch phone race. Nokia joined the race, but they didn't perceive what should be the user expectation. They don't did R&D on it, and that's why Nokia, that was once the giant in telecom industry, they failed. They all their evaluation that was 50 billions dollar at that time, they got just sold out for 7 billion. So this is a case study for me, for us, for our nation. So conclusion, the nation who will do some work, will do excellent work in AI, will lead the world. This is called fourth industrial revolution. Till date, no man-made system in the universe is truly AI-based as per the original definition of AI. We need to do AI research in different areas by following tri-helix model. Ultimately, our economy will be improved by adopting AI in these areas. Thanks. Any question?
Thank you so much, sir. Are there any questions? Thank you so much, Dr. Mohsin Sattar.
Thank you.
Now we are moving over to Dr. Mohammad Adnan Khan.
Assalamu alaikum to everyone. Are you hear me?
Dr.
Hello.
Mohammad Adnan Khan is Assistant Professor, Department of Software, Faculty of Artificial Intelligence and Software, Gakan University, Republic of Korea. He is going to talk on the topic of COVID-19 detection mechanism in ambulance using FEEP extreme machine learning. Over to you, sir.
Assalamu alaikum. Are you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum to everyone. The topic which today I will present in this conference is the COVID-19 detection mechanism in ambulance using deep extreme machine learning. Actually, this is the one of our funding project, and one of the part I will present in front of you. Okay, first, as you know, that the novel COVID-19, coronavirus 19 is a new strain of the coronavirus that is not identified in human beings previously. It is observed that the people of the different ages are affected from this virus, especially those having body diseases, blood pressures, diabetes, heart problems, or having weaker immune systems are affected the most. The outbreak of this virus has severely affected peoples around the world with increasing death rates. The rising mortality levels are attributed to their transmission behavior through their physical context between the humans. It is extremely necessary to monitor the transmission of the infection and also to anticipate the earlier phases of the disease such that effective precaution steps can be adopted in the appropriate time. And the latest global coronavirus pandemic has brought a few new problems for the scientific community, and methodologies motivated by the AI may be useful in forecasting the condition, consequences, and the implications of such an outbreak. And these forecasts and in the monitoring and preventing the spreading of these kind of outbreaks is not only for the COVID. We can use this methodology, which I present in today's presentation, we can use for the other pandemics as well. As I told, it is a very much important to control the spreading of the virus and also detect the symptoms of the people during the initial stages. So proper precaution measures can be take time. To control spread of the virus, we proposed the ACDS approach, which is named the ambulance-based COVID-19 detection system, to reveal the relevant symptoms of the person in the ambulance. The ACD make use the symptoms, various kind of symptoms like headache, flu, cough, chest pain, and diarrhea to use for the prediction of the COVID-19. These symptoms are considered as a parameter to reveal the presence of the COVID-19 in a person. Our proposed model in ambulance will make it easier for the government to perform the COVID-19 test, you can say that, to predict the patient's timely in the cities. And in this model, we use the deep extreme machine learning mechanism. Coronavirus is an infection virus that the WHO declared in pandemic on the 11th March 2020. Many patients infected by the COVID-19 develop mild to strong lung infection, whereas other experiments spare pneumonia. It is believed that the older people with specific health conditions such as the cardiovascular diseases, arthritis, lung infection, kidney or liver diseases, and are expected to generate serious illness. A novel coronavirus is being detected using the next generation sequences, which presented in the various paper like 6, 7, 8, which is coded here later on. Some patients suffer from the extreme fever, diarrhea, and X-ray of the lung showing the irregular lung injuries. The empirical research officers offers 3 growing methods to develop the framework of the forecasting the few training sets. One solution is to expand the collection of the training data by incorporating that additional details to accessible details. The second approach comprises of the pattern with cumulative predictive results, and one of the minimum error methodologies in select to incorporate the predictive results. The third approach is to focus on a specific forecasting models, methods, sometimes which with several factors that can be modified. The COVID-19 detection researchers have focused on numerous evaluating initiatives. Although COVID-19 attack over lung, we may use X-ray to examine the intensity of the lung of an infected patient and with other relevant symptoms. The health consultants frequently examine symptoms in a patient to analyze the disease. Among all the health consultants capable to evaluate the specific symptoms of the suspected patient and may use these relevant symptoms for the COVID-19 test without the specific test kits. Therefore, it is complicated for the health professional to diagnose the suspicious case on the basis of the relevant symptoms. So it takes a long time, which becomes important because people around the globe are suffering. The development of the automated simulation model is therefore important to save time and resources for the healthcare experts and to detect COVID-19 on the basis of the feasible data sets. This is the few related work in recent time. You said in few years, in 2 and 3 years, many researchers had developed the COVID-19 detection mechanism, a framework based on the deep learning technique as well. And few of them, the John implied a limited data set of 339 frames to train the test, imply deep transfer learning methods based on the ResNet 50 and recorded 96.2% test accuracy. And today I want to and few others also do the let's point if we're talking about the 15 papers, the reaction framework are built to estimate the rapid growth of the COVID-19. And this is the related work, just I skip it. And today I want to discuss our proposed developed model ambulance-based COVID-19 detection system enabled with the deep extreme machine learning. The deep extreme machine learning framework can be used as an alternative to existing approaches in order to build on the optimal framework with the several training sets considering the intensity of the pandemic. And these are the few key advantages of our research, like minimum COVID-19 widespread primary control, physical contact with the ambulance health consultant with the people, mobility in different geographic areas, urban, rural borders, achieves emergency planning and positioning of the emergency vehicles, facilitate the detection of the oncoming diseases based on the appropriate data set. This is our proposed model. This suggested that the proposed DLM, Deep Stream Learning Machine Framework, is explored to enhance the ACD. The steps on how ACD help to detect the COVID-19 is in different parts. Like firstly, the suspected COVID-19 patient is permitted in the ambulance for testing through the ACD, ambulance-based COVID-19 detection system. The health consultants activate the ACD as to test the patient for infection. The activation direct control signal to the OBE onboard unit of the ambulance. The onboard unit is ACD is the main controller responsible for carrying out the entire testing mechanism. The onboard unit activates the sensory modules that trigger voice and visual sensors. The voice sensor requires about the symptoms from the patient via the NLP. Also, the patient is monitoring visual through camera using machine learning techniques to predict the symptoms. The symptoms are predicted in the COVID-19 knowledge repository as well. Real data from the WHO repository or local database are collected upon the collecting sensor data. The data were then delivered to the data collection layer as an input, and various pre-processing methods are used for the data inspection method applied in the pre-processing layer to remove the irregularity, or you can say to mitigate the irregularities from the actual data which we acquired. Deep stream machine learning is applied for the data set training process. The DLM carries advantages of the extreme learning as well as the deep learning methodologies, where in data processing layer incorporates the input values. They move to the neural network where framework have been trained to validate the data set. Then DLM framework will train the data and explore train model the cloud and send feedback to the validation phase for the evaluation. The purpose of the exportation of the train model to the cloud is assess it from everywhere. And in validation phase, patient real data or patient history, if exists, will depend upon if the patient exists, then well and good. And the trained model will be evaluated for the prediction purpose. In the knowledge repository, the disease will be predicted in validation phase. And in the validation phase, the trained model and the patient real data will be evaluated to predict the disease. Evaluation process will be performed by importing trained model from the cloud or local repository in which the dataset has been trained through the DLM approach to calculate the output with the counterpart algorithms of the DLM algorithm. And we also imply the various statistical measures are used to measure the performance of a proposed algorithm. If the patient will be found infected in the validation phase, then it's sent to the information of the ACDA and the patient is infected. The infection of the infected patient stored in the local database to update the dataset. If the dataset instance is greater than the given threshold point, let's suppose if 100 instances are newly entered in the database or your dataset, then the entire collection dataset will be exported to the WHO repository and retrain the model again for improving prediction accuracy. The more the data we have, more accuracy, or you can say we have the more accurate results. We achieve a more accurate result. And this is the working of our proposed model. And this is the whole working which I explained to you. And this is the mathematical model. When we simulate some model, there must some mathematical model. So this is the mathematical model of our proposed model. Here, the R is the input features which we require, and the weight, the W's are the weights in here. And then here you see that activation function, the sigmoid activation function is used, and net and out edge of the different hidden layers. And when we simulate this one, we use the 6 hidden layers for the training purpose of our networks. And then we calculate the error. After that, we want to update the update the weights of our used neural networks, and this is the training mechanism, and of the hidden layers, output to hidden layers, and so on. And then this is the final equation which we use to update the weights between the all used hidden layers. And now the next part is the result section. And for the simulation purpose, we use the MATLAB 2021 in this project. And the proposed model, the real-time dataset was applied with the deep stream learning framework. And dataset is divided into 2 parts. 70% data used for the training, which is the 383 records are used for the training purpose. The rest of the 164 records are used for the validation purpose. Data was processed in order to eliminate and mitigate the data anomalies and to reduce the error from the dataset. And as I told you, we use the various statistical methods are used to measure the performance for our proposed model accuracy. In this slide, just I include 2 accuracy and the miss rate. The misclassification rate, as in simulation, I will show you, we have considered the 4 possible classes. That's why in formula you see that the submission is from K0 to 3 because we have the 4 possible classes. The first formula is represent the misclassification rate, and the second one is represent the accuracy of our proposed model. And these are the results, a confusing matter of the training. During the training phase of our proposed model here, as I told you, we use the 383 instances for the training purpose, in which we have the 4 classes. The T0 represent the class 1, T1 represent class 2, T2, and T3. The T0 mean the checkup required, T1 is the mild and moderate and severe cases. And when we give these instances to our model and it will train it, during training, 70 instances are used for the actual data is the checkup required. But when we give our system after training, they predict that in 70, they predict 64 as a correct, which required the checkup. But unfortunately, 6 predicted as a mild, but actually it belongs to a checkup requirement. Similarly, if I'm talking about the mild, in mild cases, the total 83 cases are used, in which the 78 cases are truly classified as a mild, but 3 are classified as a predicted as a checkup required patient, and the 2 predicted as a moderate, and so on. Similarly, when we validate, as you know, that the accuracy of the model is rely on the validation phase. And during validation, we use the 164 instances, in which the 27 instances are used for the checkup required class, and the 36 for the mild class, 12 for the moderate, and 89 for the severe class. In which, if we're talking about the checkup required class during the validation, 27 are the actual input records which belong to the checkup required class, in which 24 are correctly classified as a checkup required class, but 3 cases are wrongly predicted as a mild class, but actually they belong to a checkup required class. Similarly, if I'm talking about the severe class, and the severe class, the 89 actual instances, in which the 86 are correctly classified as a severe class, but 3 are wrongly classified as a moderate class. This is the overall accuracy and the miss rate which we measured using the formula which I showed in previous slide. And during training, our proposed model achieved a 92.69% accuracy and the misclassification rate is 7.31. But during validation, its accuracy is 90.24 and its misclassification rate is 9.76%. And the conclusion was the necessity to predict the COVID-19 patient earlier to prevent the transmitting the disease to the other person. In this search, we propose that deep machine learning approach to use the coronavirus disease-related symptoms obtained from the hospital for the autonomous detection of the COVID-19 and ambulance. The suggested COVID-19 detection model achieve accuracy of more than the 90% as shown in the results in previous slide. You see that the research provides an idea of how deep machine learning can be implemented in order to accommodate the COVID-19 as the initial phase. COVID-19 has now been a challenging to the health infrastructure around the globe, and many people have collapsed due to their deadly pandemic, due to the increasing number of their emergency patient, healthcare professional capacity, and computer controlled autonomous system diagnosis can save lives by earlier medical assessment and ambulance, and can save lives by appropriate treatment. ACDS framework demonstrate outstanding efficiency in categorize COVID-19 detection through training itself efficiently and effectively. We assume that the proposed model will markedly enhance the speed and precision of the COVID-19 diseases, and we can use this system not for only COVID-19, we can extend for the other pandemic as well, just with the tuning of the few sensors and change few parameters, and like we can use the other pandemic as well. It may be beneficial in a disease outbreak where the pandemic risk and the requirement or prevention steps do not suit the available resources. More appropriate, refined, and richer data set will further measure the learning rate of the system. And these are the few research articles which belongs to our funding project, which we already published and complete this article project, and mostly in W category and well-reputed journals. And these are references. If you have any question, you can ask me.
Are there any questions? Thank you, Dr. Adnan.
So nice of you. Take care.
Now we are moving to the next talk. Our next speaker is Dr. Salman Qadri. He is Chairman, Department of Computer Science at MNS University, Agriculture University, Multan. He has published 67 plus research articles. And today he is going to present on AI-based sustainable cotton crop production challenges and opportunities. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. This is the Assalamu alaikum. This is my project presentation today, artificial intelligence-based sustainable cotton crop production challenges and opportunities. Basically, this topic is regarding my research-funded project, British Council, who awarded me last year, and it is this year it is going on this project. And I am the PI with my co-PI, Dr. Asiya Khan, Associate Professor, Multimedia Communication and Technologies, and with the industry partner is Savi. Savi is the industry partner with us, and we are working on basically sustainable cotton production using artificial intelligence as a project. Now, come to the slide presentation outline. First one is the introduction, background, then research problems, question, research methodology, result, discussion and analysis, conclusion and acknowledgements and practices. Now come to the introductions and background. The cotton production in Pakistan has declined in previous decades and 12 million bales in 1991 to 4 million bales in 2020 and almost 4 to 5 million last 21, which has directly consequences on the country foreign exchange earning. More than 60% of Pakistan exports are directly or indirectly associated with the textile sector, and 40% jobs are directly or indirectly related to the manufacturing sector, which is related to the textile sector. Cotton production faced a setback due to climate change, resulting both biotic and abiotic stresses. About 90% of farmers are smallholders, and resources for land appropriate mechanism to understand the challenges of their crop production. So What are the basically problems which are going to face our farmers in Pakistan? Number one is the pest and disease. One of them is the most whitefly and CLV, cotton leaf virus, which is called CL leaf virus. And second one is the poor quality seed. Our seed quality standards are not so quite up to mark. That is in mafias who are selling the poor seed of cotton and robbing the poor farmers. Improper use of nitrogen fertilizers, which are normally in Pakistan, because farmers are illiterate, they are not so highly qualified, they use nitrogens on excessive way. That's cause problem. Another problem is the pesticide misuse, which is also pesticides is dangerous to the environment and also to humans and animals and also for this overall the world. So poor agronomy advices is also because our meteorological system and our climate system are not so strong and automated. They are not providing advisory services to the farmers. That's why they are also facing problem. Another one is the irregular rains and different climate scenarios. That's the reasons which are being observed during this research project. Now come to the next slide. The pesticide use has consequences on human health and also the environment of the system, and they cause many issues. These issues are human related health, psychological pressures, environment pollutions, and also on animals and humans health. So another thing is which are going to face irregular use of pesticides, insecticide resistance. When we are using pesticides on regularly and excessive way, then the insects have some resistance. They may create resistance. That is why our pesticides are not going on results as we expected. That are the whitefly, pink bollworm, American worms, and chastids. These are all active in spite of use of pesticides. So, how we can handle these challenges? The drawbacks of chemical pesticides environment are the harms human health, like cancer, Parkinson, allergies, etc. Effects on experts, reduce income, bad reputation, harms environment, reduce biodiversity, pollute environment, and pest resistance, reduce yields, reductions in definitely income, and definitely it also effect on the pollinators and reduce yield. Pollinators contribute to economy almost, it was observed in survey and also the quantitative way, almost $217 billion US economy is disturbed by the pollinators. So another thing is the animal health is also because we are using Pakistan as an agriculture country, and our main resource of we are food intake and our in our kitchen every grocery comes from our farmer side. That's why its effect on animals, abortions, endocrine disorders, and the health of the animals and humans. These are all playing a vital role of the chemicals on the humans besides animals. So I have proposed a methodologies to control all these things, but because scope is wide here, we have not going to detail descriptions of the project. Just I will describe the one part of this project which is taken for this conference. One is the start this project from image datasets as an input pattern. We have taken 7 farm fields in southern Punjab. One is the Islamic University Bahawalpur Agriculture Farm. Another is the Bahauddin Zikriya University Multan Farm. One is the Lodra Agriculture Farm, and Muhammad Nawaz Sharif University, which is my university, its agriculture farm, and also CCRI Central Cotton Research Institute Multan and PCCR Pakistan Cotton Central Research Institute. We have taken this farm as a case study and then deployed different methodologies using image acquiring image pre-processing techniques, applying different filters like Laplacian, Sobel's, and Roberts, but and also extracting different features techniques like Fisher, probability of error, or average correlation, and also mutual information. And then beside this, we are also taking images on GIS based multispectral radiometer datasets, which is one side is the image dataset, other side is the multispectral dataset. So all these datasets play as a spectral and multispectral and image dataset. We combine, then we have fused these datasets, and then after fused datasets, applying different machine learning algorithms to identify the early detections of cotton leaf virus and other pesticides which are impact on the health of the crop cotton, which play a vital role on Pakistan economy. How we can reduce the way forward approaches. Basically, objective is to a systematic approach towards digital agriculture, because nowadays agriculture is not playing simply without information technology. We are trying to combine the emerging of the ICT, information communication technology, AI with agriculture, promote efficient irrigation method of water utilization, productivity improvement, and irrigation scheduling. Crop diversification, promote use of low delta crops, soil health crop rotations with legumes, balanced use of nutrients, especially nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, and others fertilizers which are being used in Pakistan as a farmers, reducing harvesting and post-harvesting losses, and farmer education and women empowerment. Because in Pakistan, and Pakistan is basically agriculture country, and almost 70 to 65 to 70% population lives in villages. So our women are mostly empowered as they are the cotton picker, and they play a vital role in cotton and the cottage industry, especially related to the cotton. So crop monitoring factors which are being used in our research is the soil nutrients, which we already discussed, and then primary objective is to proper manage these factors on different stages, is like temporal to spatial data set, on remote sensing imagery with IoT sensory data. All these techniques we are combining and trying to develop an integrated environment. And ground truth with GIS system, which play an important role for the production of our cotton farms, cotton yield, and cotton byproduct. In other means, I will say the textile sector, because whenever our farmer will not grow, our industry will not be able to standardize on international market. So this is the modalities of the multi-spectral radiometer MSR5, which is crop scan for data collection. MSR5 has characteristic to provide data similar to satellite Landsat 5 schematic method. So these are the 5 bands, 450 to 520 nanometers, which is for the blue, green, red, infrared, microwave infrared. These ranges come from 450 nanometer to 1750 nanometers. These ranges play a vital role during crop sowing, growing, flowering, and picking stage. Because when we acquire data, and these are the 4 stages, different stages of the cotton, which we have discussed at initial stage. This is the sowing stage, and this is the growing, this is the ball, this is the mature state, and this is the crop when crop is in picking stage. So we have taken all these stages in our research project. This is the funding by the British Council, University of Plymouth, North India, and MNS University of Agriculture, Multan. And then the data set acquired on the both way, digital image data set as a ground truth with high resolution camera, and MSR5 as a remote sensing MSR5 remote sensing device. This is the equivalent to Landsat 5 GIS. So this is some data set collected on different farm fields of South Punjab, here in healthy leaves. And second one is the disease leaves. Results and discussions, we have proposing an intelligent system which will use the remote sensing along with digital photography data for cotton crop growing management. We will consider few soil nutrients, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus requirement for these crops. Experimentation will be performed by using temporal and spatial data sets because we are acquiring on different stages of the data sets. As comparison project on the almost 6 months to 1 year. So we have taken temporal data sets with spatial data sets to for experimentation purposes. 4 stages: sowing, growing, flowering, harvesting will monitor as suggested and suggested further finalized. So result discussion, the results will also be examined in presence of different environment factors like sunlight, variation, moisture, temperature, and different ingredients present in soil. The proposed system will bring up the solution to farmer, grower, academia, persons, farmers to updates using message alerts in different field zones with respect to the field crop status. Reason is that basic objective is to literate our farmers. So how we can send information as an advisory to our farmers, because when they have faced different threats like different water resources, like different pesticide attacks, like different insects attacks, because they are helpless. So we are trying to send the advisory services to each and every farmers, those who are in remote areas. They have received our message alerts through mobile apps. It will open a new horizon and provide a benchmark guidelines, governmental institutions and authorities for better crop monitoring, management, and future perspective. So there are the few results. We have acquired 6,000 plus data sets of the cotton, and then applying different machine learning algorithm, ANN, J48, random forest, naive-based, because project is in transition phase. So I have not shown all results. It is primarily result. We have to take almost result on the 12,000 data sets with multispectral and images. And almost accuracy acquired 90 to 98 variations with some other performance evaluating parameters like kappa statistics, true positive, false positive, receiver operating value, root mean square values, time cycle. These are all these performance evaluating parameters which are being observed during this funded research experimentation. So these are the some clicks on graphical charts, and then the thank you, the Visavi and the Mohammed Nawaz University of Agriculture Multan and University of Plymouth, UK is the partner. And thank you very much, all of you. If you have any question, then you can ask me. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Thank you, Dr. Salman.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Assalamu.
Dr. Farooq Zishan is here with us. He is Associate Professor at ComStats University, Islamabad, Lahore campus.
Assalamu alaikum to all. I'm Dr. Farooq Zishan. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Dr. Farooq Zishan. I'm Associate Professor in the Department of Computer Science, ComStats Lahore. And currently we are working on ontology-based rumor identification system, which uses the social networks. For introduction, online social networks are decentralized and distributed computer networks that use internet-based virtual places where people can interact with each other and share their posts and views with each other. OS and posts provide an efficient way of performing social interactions and the information sharing to millions of online users. Moreover, the dissemination of false information is not a new trend, because many of the people share posts on the social networks which are fake, which creates panic in the society and unrest in the society. So the sharing of the information, false information on OSN is not, it creates the panic, but it also wastes the time of the people who use these social networks. Due to this reason, the rumor verification is an important concern that will eventually reduce the spread of false information. In order to categorization, which one is a news on the social network and which one is the rumor, different methods can be used, like machine learning can be used, natural language processing can be used in this for this purpose, social source authentication, empirical studies, and ontology-based systems can be used. But in literature, we found that every method have some problems. For example, in machine learning methods, the acquisition of data is a major concern. And secondly, if the data is biased, then the decision could be wrong. In addition, it is not guaranteed that the machine learning algorithms will authenticate correctly in every case. Whereas in case of NLP, the obtainability of the labeled data of a suitable data set is limited. Moreover, no current NLP technique is capable enough to automatically examine the real-time online social network posts. While in case of empirical studies, the results are continuously affected by the uncertainty and can often be expressed as a statistical probability value. So all these discussed approaches do not, moreover, do not deal with the uniform knowledge sharing between users in a machine-readable format. And the machine-readable format and uniform knowledge sharing is the demand of the time, because the people share millions of news on the social networks. So auto detection of these approaches, automatically manual detection is not possible, at least. So that's why the auto detection approaches to achieve the unambiguous knowledge sharing among the people is needed. In this regard, the semantic web ontologies can be used. And in the literature, different ontologies are proposed to handle this issue, but all these approaches miss the core requirements. Like few approaches do not consider the roles, few do not consider rating, confidence level, location, and post categorization. While these requirements are very important while making decision on the OSN post, either this is the rumor or a post. So these are the core requirements which should be considered. So our focus is on auto detection and classification of OSN posts, online social network posts, into news and rumor, and while creating a new knowledge and using that new knowledge in decision making. To achieve this objective, we have created an ontology based on the shortcomings of the existing approaches. And we have used SWRR rules to define and create a new knowledge. Similarly, we have proposed some algorithms which calculate the score of the post and categorize the posts. First of all, we started creating our ontology starting from ontology engineering. We used NLP techniques to get subject, predicate, and object from the social network post. And then we use this formula in order to categorize which one is the most used the concepts in the social network posts. So based on the above average, the concepts and the words and the relations that were selected for the ontology creation. And this is the word cloud of the words that we selected. And here is the score of that, the concept score of is given here. And we similarly, when we selected the concepts and the relations and the subject, predicate, and object we selected, then we use the protege editor and put them all these concepts in the protege, and we created an ontology. And here's a taxonomy created in the protege editor. The main purpose of the taxonomy is to provide the structure of ontology to understand the humans and to integrate with the other ontologies. And this is a schema of our ontology. And the blue elements are the classes and the concepts, basically concepts of our ontology, while the purple elements are the data properties, and the arrows are the connections between the classes and the data properties. Similarly, here is onto graph of our ontology, which shows the visual dependencies between different entities and their instances in the ontology. We also use some axioms in our ontology. Axioms are usually utilized to ontology to provide the suitable manner for adding a relational expression. These expressions can be utilized to improve the concepts and the relations on ontology. They can also be used to define the various components, meanings of the ontology, relations, and to validate the information accuracy. Similarly, when we coded all the ontology in the protege and we put the data set in it, and we apply a Sparkle query to get the results after its consistency checking of the ontology. Sparkle queries basically support the all ontology because the existence of the all to RDF mapping. So here are some of the results of our ontology. In evaluation phase, we randomly select a small set of online social network posts that were 10 that were randomly selected. And we coded these posts into our ontology. And then we use this algorithm. Since every post is based on has the attributes, name attributes and the number attributes as well. Like you can see here, this is the description, this is the description, this is the number value, this is a text value. So this part of the algorithm calculates the attribute value whose higher values are required. For example, rating. The post which has the higher rating is appreciated. Similarly, the post which has the smaller values like performance, smaller values are appreciated. So this part calculates the higher rating, and this part, if the smaller values are preferred, so this part calculates the score of the post. Similarly, in case of name attributes, this part of the algorithm calculates the similarity of the concept. And eventually, the numbers and the name and the numbered concepts scores are accumulated, which gives the total score of the post. These are our SWR, semantic web rule language rules to create a new knowledge. In this case, any person who share a post on the social networks, and the people read the post and give it a score. And if that score exceeds the 85%, our system declares it that the person who posts this, share this post on the social networks is an expert. Similarly, a person who shares a post on the social networks, and if it gets the score between 75 and 85% from the public, then our system declares the person who shared this post as a reviewer. Similarly, we have categorized into contributor, inexpert, and the simple user, ignoramus, and neglected. And definitely these are the values. These values were decided with the discussion in brainstorming with the experts. And upon consensus, these scores were decided. Whereas this algorithm is used to categorize the post, either this is a rumor or a post. In every case, every post from the set of posts, if that post scores more than 74%, if the post score is 74%, which score is calculated between through the previous algorithm, if the score is more than 74%, If that post whose score is calculated, if that score is below than 70%, and the person was contributor, our user, our ignoramus and neglector, which shares the post, and its score is below, less than 74%, that it means that that is a rumor which one should not rely on that post. So this algorithm basically classifies the post into rumor and the news. Here we perform a statistical test in order to verify that either the results created by our system, which uses ontology, can this system produce the results according to the human perception? To validate this argument, our alternate hypothesis was, without considering the core requirements of the ontology, the system cannot produce results according to the human perception. For this purpose, we use this the set post, and we give it to the general public, and we ask them to rate is it a news or a post, and give it this rating between 0 to 100. And these posts was also integrated into the ontology, and we get the results, and then we compare the results here statistically. The results we got from the public and the results we got from our system using the same data set, that is that 10 posts. And we perform the statistical test. First of all, we check the normality of the data, and significant is p-value shows that the normal data was normal. And then here is the p-value, which shows that two-tailed test, independent t-test, which shows that which is less than 0.05, which rejects the null hypothesis and accepts the alternate hypothesis, which was without considering the core requirements. Ontology-based system cannot produce the results according to the human perception. And it is proved that our system has the capability to produce, to categorize the news, either is this a news or a rumor, very near to the human perception. In order to measure the accuracy, we have used these matrices, precision recall and F1 measures. And this is the score of our system, and we have compared the accuracy, precision recall, and the F1 value score with the existing approach, the best existing approach in the literature. And in all three cases, precision recall and F1 measures, our system produces the best accuracy. And here is a comparative evaluation. And we have considered the core requirements here, and we have categorized these requirements into two categories. And here are ontology-based systems proposed in the literature, which can be used to identify the social network post. Either this is the news or a rumor. And here we can observe that our proposed system is addressing all the core requirements. And so this is the only reason it's the precision recall and value F1 score is high, and it can produce results as according to the human perception. So in conclusion, everyone knows that the online social network provides efficient way to social interaction and information sharing to millions of users, online users. And many users share the wrong posts, fake news on the post, and lot of people without verification think that this is true, and which creates a panic in the society. Whereas manual intervention to identify either this is a rumor or this is a news from thousands and millions of the news is impossible. So ontology-based system for rumor identification is proposed, and the results have proved the usefulness of the proposed system. And we have compared it to two ways, and we have compared it the existing literature theoretically, and as well as we have this measured its accuracy, which is better. And then we the results produced by our system, we also compare with the general public opinion. And in all three ways, it has proved that it has a capability to identify the social network posts, either this is a rumor or a news. Thank you very much. So these are my some of the other.
Thank you so much, sir. Are there any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz to all.
Allah Hafiz, sir. Now we'd like to invite Dr. Shahid Naseem, Assistant Professor, Computer Science from University of Education, Lahore. His topic of talk is IoT-based safety belt security systems.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum ji. Are you listening me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Today my topic for this conference is IoT-based safety belt security system. First, I'll discuss what is the purpose of this security belt. The transfer, basically the purpose of IoT is to transfer data between different accessories, between different connectivity systems. The IoT is nothing more than to transfer or exchange of something with several other things. Up to 2020, it's estimated that millions or billions of people using internet authorized systems or devices. If we analyze last 2 years during COVID, it's estimated that Pakistani are more internet users than India and other countries. There are many existing applications for women's safety. Basically, these devices introduced for especially for women for security purpose. Because last some years there is issue of kidnapping women's and children's also. Safety with a million of downloads, but all these requires you with a mobile phone and internet connection and some knowledge to proceed with them. When we discuss about the women, there should be knowledge how to use this app also. A system like this has a wide range of possible uses like kidnapping, private security, and improve human-computer interaction, so that your data cannot be accessed by anyone or your data cannot be snatched by anyone. How we use security-based location tracker? Nowadays, security issues and threats, for example, kidnapping, murder, rape case, are increasing very fastly. This security system improves security to those who go far from home. For example, you are moving from home to university or your colleges, it means you should be secure. This security-based location tracker has two emergency features embedded. First one, when a device is active or on, it sends a location with the SMS or call feature to your our connections. User can add up to 3 numbers of their own choice. For example, if you want your message will be sent to your family, your friend, or anyone, it means you can add these number. That's why your location will be sent only these 3 numbers, except the other numbers. User will also need a SIM card for operating and using its emergency features. There is a chargeable battery with it that can be charged, because in all the previous systems, there is a big issue of the battery charges. It means there is a battery in your mobile. After that, you can use your mobile, your app. There also must be a SIM card. Without SIM card, you can't use this tracker also. The receiver who is checking the location needs an internet connection on phone. This security system is simple rather than other security devices. User can easily operate it without any effort, because there is no so much knowledge. You just know how to operate this system, how to operate your app, how to operate your mobile. It means anybody can use it easily if he or she has a mobile with SIM and an internet connection. Means you must have an Android mobile. In this search, we have developed a device or belt which can be carried out with himself or herself for security purposes easily, especially for women and girls. The user must have SIM card as I have previously defined. Then after number and SIM, the user is ready to go along with the device because your belt is wrapping on your hand. It will wherever you move, belt is also with you. The relative saved numbers will get SMS as I had previously discussed. The user can add 3 numbers. It means maybe your relatives, your family members, or anyone, or your friend. You want to share your location. It means they must be save your number. The user location will send to their contact through GPS hardware. After triggering the button within no time, all your information will reach to all the contacts which you have also shared. In this model, at the top we have receiver, means your relatives, and at the bottom you are yourself, and then in the center there is a device or chip which have inserted your mobile. When user click button on, it means your all information will be received to your contact numbers. When your mobile is off, it means there is no information shared with your receiver or contact numbers. There are 3 main participants. One is user, means you are yourself, which is using device which is using to want you share your information with your contacts. And the other one is admin. It means your ISP, whose your SIM are you are using, or any organization. And the third one is receiver, to whom you want to share your current information. IoT-based security devices use mainly, first one is SafeLet. SafeLet is a safety device that lets anyone to generate message or call on receiver's number. It's featured to push button on the side that can send a text message to a family member. It can also record audio and synchronizing with the user mobile device. As we know, in the previous mobiles like Nokia or previous old numbers using Symbian operating system, there is no option for recording message. But all these new using mobiles have an option to record the message. Second one is Safer Smart Pendant. Safer Smart Pendant is a double-click safety device that has also a GPS locator in it. By double-clicking the safety device attached to the pendant, this wearable gadget sends an alarm message and the position to the registered number of the family members. Third one is Sonata watch. This watch needs user smartphone to send location and message. It comes with a mobile application that can be downloaded into the user smartphone. It means whenever you want to share your information, the app you are using on your mobile, same app must be installed on other mobile to whom you want to share your location, you want to share your message. It means same app must be installed on the other family members. This watch will send an alarm message to a family member that includes the user location. Alarming means message as user location. Android Nano. Android Nano is a small and friendly board that is based on the ATmega 328. It's used in this system due to its working with a mini -B USB cable instead of standard one. It means it has special cable for sharing the message, for sharing the locations. Here we are used, it's as shown in this diagram. Here is a DC to DC buck converter. Here is SMS, Arduino. We share SMS with call button, GSM, GPS. There are 4 things we can share with your loved ones, your family members. There must be a battery, 7.2 voltage, and there is also voltage regulator in this system. In this flow chart, we can see how to data shared with your relevant person from start. We can use SMS, GSM, power on. It means first of all you on your mobile, then your message will be shared. Check SMS card response, check network status, send welcome message. At the end, the message will be shared. If there is an issue, the red blocks are diagonal box are boxes are show there is some problem, and the uh, other boxes, rectangle box, are sure is your message properly shared with your family members. Same flow is shown is here. First start includes libraries. It means first you install your application, define constraints, pin board, and then create new your connection. If there is any data on the pin, then feed all the received data. It means if you have number and enter your mobile, it means then you can receive the data. Otherwise, you can't receive your message. On the basis of all these previous diagrams, we have defined our own model. At the bottom, we can see there is a user. There is a chip which we use for sharing the data. Here is an admin that is controlled. As I have previously defined, there are three members. One is user, second is admin, and third is receiver. It means you want to share your message from here to this person. So it means when your device is on, first means your device is on, you share message will share your SIM, and then message will be shared on to the receiver. At the back end, your user may be in the same city or other city. If other city, the message can be shared through the satellites to connectivity channels all, as we shown all these parameters here. Here is shown estimated results. First one is connectivity design coverage table. It means there are three parameters. First one, SIM must be on or not, installed or not installed. Second one is button on or off. A third one, output connect or end. These are three parameters. Rule one, first, if there is no SIM, there is no button on, it means output is nil, no output will be shared. If SIM is inserted, but you did not enter any button on your device, it means there is no output will be shared. If no SIM in your mobile, no button will be shared, it means no output will be shared. If you insert a SIM, your button is also okay or on, it means there will be connectivity, message will be shared. There are four cases. First one, SIM is not inserted, but button is on, device will not give any response, as I have shown here. Case 2, SIM is inserted, but button is off, device will not give any response. There are four parameters. In the second SMS sending coverage table, the same parameters as have previously shown, not inserted, push button, not put button, are sent or not sent. When you insert a SIM, not push button, no response will be sent. No SIM in your mobile, you will push button, no response will be shared. As I have previous diagram table shown, same parameters are here. In the third, show all the calls features decision coverage table. Here are four parameters: not inserted, push, not push, sent or not sent. Same parameters are shared here also. At the last, GSM and decision coverage table, there are three parameters, basic two parameters, true or false. It means device, true, GSMS light, failure, it means there is no output. Two parameters are failure, third is also failure. First one of parameter is failure, the output will be failure. Only when the two inputs are okay or positive, then the output will be also message also shared. The device initializing senior coverage table, there are four parameters: plug in, plug out, true or false. When your device is plug in, button is off, it means output is true. And if button is on, plugin is on and button is on, output will be failure. There are also explanation of these parameters. At the end, I have conclusion. A safety belt is a security device that will provide shelter you and your loved one. It's aware others of your location through calls and SMSs without a mobile phone. This wearable device will help alert you by informing your contacts about your location through a message and give them an alert through ring call. It's also not only work for only one person, but it's also the person at same time multiple persons can use it. Will get your live location and a ringtone alert. as you communicate in a group, same way you can share your location at multiple numbers at the same time. There is a short message feed for initializing that makes the user alert that the device is active. Now, when your device is active, it means say an alert message will be generated on your loved one. It's only an indication that person will get to know about an alarming situation even before time. If there is some wrong situation, there is a critical situation, it means their message will be sent your loved one, or they can spare you. Thank you. There is question answer, please. If you have any question, please. Sorry.
Thank you, sir. Are there any
Oh,
questions? Thank you, sir.
thank you. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz, sir. Our next speaker is Dr. Safiullah Khan from Department of Computer Engineering, Gakon University, South Korea. The topic of his talk is lightweight cryptography and blockchain.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir, you're visible.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Safiullah Khan, and currently I'm a postdoc member at Information Security and Machine Learning Lab in Kachin University, South Korea. And today I will be talking about lightweight cryptography and the role of lightweight cryptography in blockchain. A slight introduction to my lab. I'm in Information Security and Machine Learning Lab, where we are currently working with cryptography, cybersecurity, and machine learning related areas. Today I will be talking about lightweight cryptography and the currently ongoing standardization process for the lightweight cryptography. I will talk about the hardware implementations of the lightweight cryptography, and then finally I will be talking about blockchain and lightweight cryptography, that how lightweight cryptography is helping blockchain to make it suitable for the resource constrained environments. Lightweight cryptography is actually meant for the small IoT devices that enable secure communication of data, that even for the devices with limited resources. So there are a number of factors on which lightweight cryptography depends. For example, the size of the circuit or the RAM. Circuit size is important for the ASIC or FPGA implementations, while if we implement the algorithm in microcontrollers, and it is important that the size of algorithm must match with the size of the memory in the microcontroller. Similarly, the power consumption, because most of the IoT nodes are operated with batteries, so it is very important to have a minimal power consumption to last a longer battery. The processing speed, some of the applications require higher processing speed, so we need the circuits that must have higher throughputs. So lightweight cryptography is actually a form of symmetric cryptography, which means that both the receiver and sender use the same key. So for the lightweight cryptography, the National Institute of Standards and Technology have initiated a process to select a standard for lightweight cryptography. As we know that there are standards for the traditional cryptography, like RSA is a standard, AES is a standard, but there is no standard for the lightweight algorithms now. So in response to that, the NIST gave an open call for the algorithms, to which there were initially 57 submissions, out of which 56 were selected for the round one. So round two, some of them were eliminated, and the remaining were 32 submissions. So there are currently 10 finalists, and last year they announced the final round of the standardization process. So I have mentioned here all the finalists of the lightweight competition. Talking about timeline, so this competition started in 2016, and we expect to finish it next year. And I hope that next year we will be having a standard for the lightweight cryptography. I would like to talk about a little bit about the hardware implementations of the lightweight cryptography. Hardware implementations like ASIC or FPGA are important for the reviewers because they provide a deeper look into the architectures, at how the architectures can be implemented in hardware and what could be the possible optimizations. Based on that, the reviewers can make a better choice in selecting the standard. So there are actually some works that we discuss the hardware implementations. So I would also like to discuss one of the algorithm SCON, which we have implemented in one of our works. The basic idea of this work was scalability, because the different applications require different different values of throughput and area consumption. So all these diverse requirements have compelled us to implement the SCON in such a way that it is applicable to all the scenarios. Based on that, we suggested 3 implementation strategies: unrolled, round-based, and serialized for the SCON implementations. Here is the basic architecture of SCON algorithm that consists of 4 steps: initialization, the associated data processing, the plain text processing, and the finalization. So in all of these steps, we know that there are certain number of permutation rounds, which are 12 during the initialization, 6 during the associated data processing and plain text processing, and again 12 rounds of permutation during the finalization process. So what is permutation? On the right-hand side, we can see the permutation architecture. It again consists of 3 steps, adding a round constant, an SBox layer, and the linear diffusion layer. This was the basic architecture of SCON you must know before knowing the implementation strategies. So for the unrolled implementation strategy, we actually implemented all the SCON algorithm in a combination circuit. So here we actually achieved a higher throughput, but this higher throughput does not come for free. It comes at the cost of higher area consumption. Similarly, the round-based implementation actually means that a certain number of rounds are executed in each clock cycle. We have tested many number of rounds, like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 6. Similarly, the last implementation strategy, that is the serialized strategy. For the serialized strategy, we have implemented the SBox in a serialized fashion, because we noticed that the SBox consumes most area. So if we serialize this SBox and reuse the same hardware, so this will save the area too much. On the right side in the figure, you see that there are different applications that demand different levels of throughput and area. So each of these category is exactly most applicable to one of the categories for the applications. Now I will talk about how lightweight cryptography is beneficial to the blockchain. So we know that for the IoT environments, the IoT nodes usually consist of sensors and resource constraint embedded systems. But on the other hand, blockchain is regarded as very computationally expensive, because it involves a consensus algorithm like proof of work. So what we suggest is to replace this proof of work with a lighter version of algorithm, and this is known as proof of authentication. Proof of authentication has already been proposed, and many people were working on it. But in one of our works, we implemented this. We actually borrowed some of the features from the lightweight encryption schemes and implemented in the blockchain technology, so that it can become feasible for the resource constraint environments. So how A-chain works? A-chain actually means a blockchain that is based on authenticated encryption. So at the sensor nodes, a tag is generated that is based on the sensor data, and which is then broadcasted to the network along with the hash value. So on the receiver end, the authentication is performed by recomputing this hash and comparing with the received one. And in case the authentication is successful, the block is added to the blockchain. So in conclusion, I would like to say that lightweight cryptography is a really emerging field, because the world is shifting to being smart. We have many smart things. So in order to communicate in a secure way, lightweight cryptography is very important. So there is a huge potential that lies in this field. And we are currently working with all the implementation, with the hardware implementation to the secure side channel analysis related to the lightweight cryptography. Thank you so much. So in the end, I would like to announce that we are open to the research collaborations as well. So if you want to contact me, you can just contact me through an email. And if you have any questions related to the presentation, please proceed.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
Bye-bye.
we'll end the session here as we have covered everything on the list. We'll continue the session again tomorrow, inshallah. Okay, so the list is complete. We'll continue tomorrow, inshallah. I'd like to thank all the keynote speakers of today and our faculty members, our organizers. We'll meet tomorrow, inshallah.